Our centering words today are from the Reverend Victoria Safford. To see, to look and to see is an ethical act and an intentional choice. To see with open eyes is a spiritual practice and thus a risk, for it can open you to ways of knowing the world and loving it that will lead to inevitable consequences. The awakened eye is a conscious eye, a willful eye, and brave, because to see things as they are, each in its own truth, will make you very vulnerable. As we go into a time of silence, I invite you to contemplate what you are not seeing. So every year I attend the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly, the annual gathering of Unitarian Universalist congregations. I've always loved General Assembly. When I was newer to Unitarian Universalism, it really made me feel a part of something much larger, since my first congregation only had about 50 people in it. Worshiping with 5,000 people, taking classes that deepened my knowledge, and also education about how the organization itself worked. And then after I became a minister, I enjoyed going mostly to meet old friends and colleagues and to share with others by leading and participating in programs and business sessions. Now this year, it was a little different. They had it mostly online. There were some regional areas that had people, but it was almost all online. And I found that personally a little challenging, because I didn't get to meet my friends and colleagues that way. But always the highlight for me of General Assembly is the Where lecture. The lectures started in 1922 and have included theologians, government officials, activists, artists, educators, and scientists. Early Each year is a little different. Sometimes they're very affirming, sometimes comforting, sometimes educational, and often challenging. This year's Where lecture was the Episcopal Bishop Marion Edgar Budd. Now, some of you may remember the bishop from the Interfaith inaugural prayer service she led at the Washington National Cathedral following Donald Trump's second presidential inauguration, in which she asked the president to show mercy, particularly towards the LGBTQ community and immigrants. And the president, how shall I say it, did not appreciate Bishop's homily. It is always interesting, though, listening to her, how other religious leaders from other traditions view Unitarian Universalists. And one comment that immediately stuck with me and stays with me until this day was when the bishop said, "Going first is Unitarian Universalists' vocation." I thought that was so interesting. She said, Unitarian Universalists across this country are among those to meet whatever the moment requires, the first to show up and speak up and embody truths that others in time will come to embrace. In the work of social justice and inclusion, Unitarian Universalists are almost always among the first. End quote. This is true historically, going back to our very founding. Our insistence originally on the unity of God instead of the Trinity, our support for a non-literal reading of the Bible, our inclusion of different religious texts, along with nature informing our theology, our support for abolition of slavery, our support for public education, our support for civil rights, our support for the LGBTQ rights, including, but not limited to, marriage equality. It was a Unitarian Universalist that brought the lawsuit that eventually changed that law. Our support for the environment, our support for immigration rights, and on and on. So why us? Why us? Why Unitarian Universalists? What makes us so quick to act? Part of it is our theology. Bud went on to say, and I quote, "One factor is your unwavering commitment to the dignity of every human being and an unqualified commitment to justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Your spiritual principles are breathtakingly aspirational and rooted in what the Jesuit priest Gregory Boyle describes as our, and I quote, unshakable goodness." I like that, unshakable goodness. Yeah, you can clap it, yeah. She goes on to say that, of course, other religions affirm this, but that the Unitarian Universalists lead with them constantly, consistently, and clearly. And this is the core of who we are, living out our values in the world. Any change in the world requires someone to go first. It requires vision. It requires being comfortable with change. It requires courage, and it requires commitment. Going first, Buddy said, and I quote, "is a lonelier vocation than we admit. The prophetic imagination sees clearly and then waits while everyone else takes their sweet time to catch up." End quote. I think that's true. If you look on, we always usually end up on the right side of history, except with the restriction of alcohol. We definitely did not, we were originally like for the restriction of alcohol way back then, prohibition. But, you know, you live, you learn, you adapt, and that is the point. And I'll get to that part later. So, therefore, most of all, being first requires us to be in relationship with each other and as well with others who are not yet engaged. So I recently posted a video on my Facebook feed, and it's public, so you can go and look if you have Facebook, and it's called The First Follower. And it shows one person, how shall I say, doing an part of this great new visionary dance. So the lesson is that movements are not created only by the person who goes first. They are also created by the first people willing to join and make courage contagious, right? Our being first allows others who have similar values discover that they are not alone, and they see us, they will join in. Because going first only matters if somebody goes second, and then others join in. Now, one way that you can join in and have courageous things and have it spread is to share our value of generosity through our weekly offering, which sustains the mission and vision of this congregation. So please be as generous as you can. For those online or those here on your cell phone, there is a QR code and in the description of the YouTube video as well. Let this sacred time begin, and I will be the first crazy dancer to put money in the basket. Our next reading is from the Reverend Ashley Horan, who is part of the Side with Love program of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And she says at General Assembly, our Unitarian Universalist values have always pushed our people to show up, to risk, to struggle for justice, liberation, and radically inclusive communities centered in love. The heart of our faith transcends cultural shifts and political trends. But at key moments throughout the centuries, our religious ancestors have also always been willing to transform themselves and their faith to meet the needs of the moment and to let go of what no longer serves, to open new possibilities, to seize new opportunities, and to lean into aspiration and innovation. At our best, Unitarian Universalists are both deeply grounded in our core values and shared commitments and nimble enough to respond to the challenges and opportunities that emerge in rapidly changing times. Meet the Moment is a movement-wide framework helping Unitarian Universalists analyze, discern, strategize, reflect, and take values-based action in response to today's religious, cultural, generational, and political realities. One other reality that I know is that we are going to again hear some great music from Sean O'Neill. So this year, Meet the Moment focused on what they called courageous strategy. Courageous strategy is taking our discernment seriously enough to do the rigorous work of mapping out a path to making it real. Strategy is covenantal. It is an investment in trust amongst all of us, an agreement to journey together, and crucially, an agreement to come back together if the strategy falters, which anyone who has tried to implement anything, right, knows at times something will not go as planned. And strategy requires patience, forgiveness, and adaptability. Change work is hard. Now, the bishop in her Ware lecture used a couple of literary examples of meeting the moment to illustrate this, and I'll have to admit, one of them sent me down a rabbit hole, and now I invite you to join me. The bishop points to Frodo Baggins, the reluctant hero of Tolkien's classic trilogy, The Lord of the Rings. The young hobbit, probably due to his humility and lack of ambition, is encouraged by the wise wizard Gandalf to carry the all-powerful One Ring through all manner of danger to the one place it can be destroyed before it falls into the hands of one who would use it to destroy the earth. Gandalf, trying to allay Frodo's concerns, say, "You were meant to have the ring," and that may be an encouraging thought. Well, Frodo does not find it very encouraging and says, "I wish I had never seen the ring. Why did it come to me? Why was I chosen? I wish it need not have happened in my time." And then Gandalf said, "So do I, and so who all who live to see such times. But that is not for them or us to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." Now, Gandalf does not comfort him. He does not say it'll be all right, or you can just fly to France and it'll be better there, right? Or that Frodo is stronger than he knows, because he isn't. It is not an inspiring response, but it is a true one, which is better, which is this is what you have been called to do in this moment, in this time. And so I went down the rabbit hole of what the ring represents. In 1951, Tolkien wrote a long letter to a publisher named Milton Waldman, explaining, at least at that moment, what the ring was. Tolkien traced it to the desire for power back to something very ordinary, the wish to make our will effective more completely, right, and more quickly. He called this the machine, not simply technology, but anything that allows us to avoid developing human capacities to be in relationship with each other, and instead begin, and I quote, bulldozing the real world or coercing others' wills, end quote. I know no clearer definition of authoritarianism than that. Bulldozing the real world and coercing others' wills. It is arriving at your outcome without the slow, uncertain, sometimes humiliating labor of changing another person's mind. For some, it can feel like efficiency and relief. Those willing to accept shortcuts in order to stop their suffering. Every one of our Unitarian Universalist shared values is a refusal of those shortcuts. Interdependence, pluralism, justice, equity, transformation, generosity, all with love at the center. Not one of them can be imposed on anybody. You can only invite people, hold the door open, and wait for them. In the chapter, the Council of Elrond, leaders from across the land, including elves and dwarves and men who had every historical reason to distrust one another, gathered to discuss how to deal with the ring, which was leading to growing darkness in their lands. Elrond convenes them, but he does not command them. And friends, that is us, right? No bishop can tell this congregation what to do. We are a covenant of congregations, a covenant of people, not a chain of command, which means everything that gets done here because we choose to do it. Now, I've been in many a committee meeting like this council, and every person arrives there with a plan, and every plan is intelligent, and everyone is certain their plan is the best. And we have to discern on our values, not on our fears, how to move forward. So in the council, some said, hide the ring somewhere safe. Cast it into the sea. Send it to Tom Bombadil, who is powerful and could hide it. Give it to someone wiser than we are. Each proposal is a way of keeping the difficulty at a comfortable distance. And each idea had a counter, right? The sea has shores and the tide will wash it in. Bombadil will misplace it or is not interested in world affairs. What is buried can be dug up. And then Boromir asks the reasonable question, why not use it? Why not use the ring? His people are dying on the frontiers while everyone debates what to do. Why should the free peoples not take the enemy's own weapon and turn it against them? We are the good ones. In our hands, it would surely be different. But Elrond's answer is that whoever picks up the ring, whoever uses these methods, will surely, against the Dark Lord, in time will become the Dark Lord themselves. There is no arrangement by which this work to destroy the ring becomes someone else's to carry. The last time anyone confronted this enemy, they overcame the darkness. An alliance met in open battle, and the kings died doing it. And one prince cut the ring from the hand of the tyrant, but instead of destroying it, kept it. Total victory over the tyrant, yet years later the darkness is rising again. Although the tyrant was ended, the source of the tyranny was not ended. You cannot defeat domination by dominating it. Martin Luther King, I believe, said something similar. You can't defeat hate with hate. You can only defeat hate with love. Which leaves the council with nothing to propose except a thing that sounds like folly, which leaves us with nothing but showing up and doing the slow, hard work. Gandalf says that despair only belongs to those who can see the end beyond all doubt. The future, I would say, is not written. We need not despair. It is never folly to work to make our values real in the world. Is there risk? Yes. Is success guaranteed? No. Still, if good is to prevail, we must act. And I guarantee you there are many waiting to see us act. We have seen this in the work we have already done, such as our Immigration Justice Coalition, where now we have other churches and community organizations that have joined us in supporting immigrants in our community. Well, after the long debate, it is Frodo who says he will take the ring to be destroyed. And then says the truest thing in the book. He does not know the way. Remember the dancer I told you about earlier? One person moving alone and then another and then a larger group? Well, that is the Council of Elrond. No one commanded or even asked, but one by one people agreed to help. Some with seemingly no power, but with commitment to support their friend Frodo. Others who nursed grievances against each other for centuries and who have been arguing with each other all afternoon still agreed to help. Others with power and who had something to lose agreed to help. Boromir, who wanted a usury and was denied in front of everybody, says he will help too. Each helped in their own way and time, and sometimes imperfectly, and sometimes it cost them their lives. They have not resolved every disagreement. What they had was a direction and each other. We have a word for that. We call it covenant. It is the promise we make to remain in relationship through all our journeys in life. A commitment made by people who do not always agree on the best plan. Covenant is the one thing our faith has ever really had. We have no creed to fall back on. We have never agreed on the substance or recognition of God. What we have is the promise, renewed every time each one of us shows up. Ours is a tradition that has never required you to believe a specific thing before you are permitted to participate. It has only asked whether you are willing. Not certain, but willing. And the work in front of us asks for exactly that kind of company. Our task is not to destroy those who seek domination. It is to destroy their capacity to dominate. And we do that through free and fair elections, independent court, public witness, honest journalism, community organizing, disciplined and nonviolent resistance, all centered in love. That is our faith. We answer disinformation with truth and with trustworthy relationships. We defend those who are targeted, and we build coalitions across difference. For if we destroy a ruler but preserve the ring, we have not defeated domination. We have merely prepared the ring for the next bearer. Tolkien does not promise that goodness will prevail because the good are stronger. His hope rests upon fellowship, sacrifice, mercy, and the courage of ordinary people. He reminds us that what happens is inevitable, is not necessary. What appears inevitable is not necessarily the whole truth. Justice is not a position you hold, it is a road you travel. And it is a long, and at times, it does not bring comfort. Beloved community is not a place we arrive at and then rest. It is what happens on the journey among people who choose each other without first requiring each other to agree that we are right. So I am not going to ask you this morning whether you know how the journey ends. None of us can see the end beyond all doubt. And Gandalf would say that is a mercy. I'm not going to ask you whether you feel equal to it. Frodo certainly did not. I am only going to ask you one question. Who else is going? I now invite you to rise in body for our closing hymn, One Foot, Lead with Love. There'll be a chorus. Put one foot in front of the other. join me now in extinguishing our chalice. The words will be in the order of service and on the screen behind me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for your presence here today. Go forth and lead with love.